Staff with teachers at the Early Learning Center, 100% at the Arts and Technology Academy, 94% at the College and Career Academy. Any questions?
It's not. It's not.
Not tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next item. Receive and consider for approval 2024-25 special services contract between Audrey Gorton and St. Helena Parish School Board.
All right, good evening, Board, Madam President. So we have a special circumstance with our speech therapy services. We are, in the past, we've had 3 speech therapists. Now we have 2. And so one of the rosters for our speech learners, our children that receive speech therapy, has to be split amongst those 2 service providers. And so I'm asking you all to approve a special services contract for them, for the same 2 speech therapists that we already have.
So do we want to take these collectively then? It's the same contract basically? Or we just do individually?
It's an addendum to the contract because they're going to be
They do.
doing additional services.
Okay,
So we're going to
okay.
pay them for the additional services.
Okay, any questions? Not, can I get a motion?
I do have a question. So
Okay,
it's been discussed with them too, the additional services?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, and they've agreed to do that. So it's, they're splitting a roster between the two of them, so they're adding more services.
okay. Any other questions?
Also move.
Okay, got a motion by Ms. Cheney,
I second.
second by Ms. Porter. No other questions, we'll take a vote, Ms. Bruce?
Mr. Bell,
Yes.
Ms. Linda Cheney,
Yes.
Ms. Joy Porter,
Yes.
3-0 motion carried.
Okay, receive and consider for approval 2024-25 special services contract between Joni Hayes DeRozan and St. Helena Parish School Board.
I saw.
Like- Okay.
I second it.
Okay, got a motion by Ms. Porter, second by Ms. Cheney.
Ms. Virginia Bell,
Yes.
Ms. Linda Cheney,
Yes.
Ms. Joy Porter,
Yes.
3-0 motion carried, refer to school board today.
Okay, that concludes the personnel committee. Budget and finance will come to order.
Ms. Virginia Bell,
Present.
Ms. Linda Cheney,
Present.
Ms. Olita Porter, Dr. Kelly Joseph,
Here.
Ms. Castle, Ms. Tracy Womack,
Okay, full board present. First item, receive and consider for approval of renewal of the general liability, cyber liability, business automobiles, and the school leaders' professional liability insurance and workers' compensation renewal. I can't read my writing. It said approved stipend. Something for July 29. What's this say? For professional development. Okay.
Teachers.
There's extra, I'll grab them at the end. Good evening. We are here to discuss your Lama renewal for your general liability, your commercial automobile, your educator's legal liability, your cyber liability, and I'm here a month early to discuss your workers' compensation. We got them to get those numbers to us early. You should be receiving two handouts. One of them is just a proposal for all the coverages. In the rear of that handout, there's a FAQ I have on LARMA. They've updated that just for your information. Feel free to read it if you have spare time. But it may answer you some questions too, just to kind of see the strength of LARMA right now. The other page is just a quick summary of your liability losses over the last couple of years. You're performing very well. I just wanted you to see what was open, what was closed, and some of the severity of some of the claims we've had in the past. We're going to begin with the liability on page 2. As you can see, our average daily attendance right there in the top right corner, that's for all locations. We're up slightly than we were last year. That's the rating basis factor. We're up overall for LARMA about 15% on average for every school district involved in the program. And that's over general liability, automobile, and educators' legal liability. No major changes here. I have a note on the bottom. I know you guys just picked up a resource officer. LARMA is providing coverage protection for you guys if there's an event there, but they want to see the agreement between you and the law enforcement agency there, just in case, because it's going to go on a case-by-case basis. There's several scenarios that could come into play where, hey, you've done everything right, but the resource officer was not trained properly, or vice versa. Hey, the resource officer did everything right, but our procedures were not in place to do this. So it's going to be on a case by case. They're not specifically excluding it, which is great. We don't have to go out and get separate coverages for that. But we all want to be on the same page and see who's going to be responsible for what. And I have your renewal premium at the bottom, which is, like I said, up average on 15%. Page 3 is your automobile liability. This is the liability portion at the top with the uninsured motorists and the medical payments. We're basing it off 38 total vehicles. That's owned buses and contract buses for liability. Below that is the physical damage limit. That's for owned buses by the district, not the contract buses. In the past, LARMA gives us what they call a blanket limit or an annual aggregate on the values of the buses. We've got 200, 300, and 400,000 are the options. A couple of years ago, you were at 200,000, but we've bumped it up because your bus fleet is increased in size and value. You're at 400,000 now, but your total TIV for your buses and all vehicles is 675,000. So I had to point that out and make that aware. And I have an alternative quote for physical damage on the next page, but we'll discuss that in a minute. No changes to that. $2,500 deductible for all units. Next page is the alternate quote for physical damage. It's only 8 units. They're not insuring any trailers. Okay, that's all the newer buses we have that have physical damage coverage. They're giving us a $670,000 limit with a $10,000 comp and collision deductible compared to the $2,500 you have there. I brought this to your attention because right now you're okay on your annual aggregate. You're at 400,000 with 675,000 in values. I'm not too concerned about 6 buses hitting each other at one time or having 6 automobile accidents at one time. It's an event like a hurricane or a hailstorm that I'm more concerned about hitting all the buses because you do disperse your buses throughout the parish. They're not all a central location, so a flood would not take out your entire fleet. But if you buy another 2 buses or 3 buses over the next year, you're going to be closer to $1 million than you are at 400,000. So that's why I was bringing this alternative quote to your attention here. I don't think we have any plans on purchasing new buses at the time. So you may be able to stay where you are for another year. And if we get more buses, because these bus values are increasing with every time we add one, it's more expensive than the last one we added. Values on the bus itself, not the cost of the insurance there. So that's for your consideration. We can talk about that, but it is a $10,000 deductible. They did give us, this has happened on the phone call on the way over here. You have 2 light units, the pickup trucks. I got them to agree to do a $2,000 deductible on the light units and $10,000 on the buses. There was a wrap exclusion when they included this in the past, when they offered us a quote last year. And the wrap is basically any kind of vehicle you see that has any kind of paint job on it. I said, we're looking at St. Helena Parish School District, the driver information on the side, and the bus number. I said, they agreed to waive that. So that's because that was if we purchased that wrap exclusion back, that was a $500 per bus endorsement. So they probably saved us about $4,000 if we did this. That's good to know. Even if we don't take it this year and we have to get it down the road, we know what to expect. And I've already got them to agree to do that. So we can discuss that in more detail in just a second. Your next page, page 5, is your educator's legal liability. No changes other than a slight rate increase, and that across the board. Page 6 is your cyber liability. Same thing. Slight, I'm talking maybe a $300 or $400 increase from the previous year, but no changes in coverages, no reduction in coverages, more importantly. Page 7 is just my reminder. We don't have any crime coverage in place, but you do have bonds in place. That's something we can look at down the road as well. Page 8 is your summary. And I have it here on the 2024 to 25 premium. I have all the coverages we just listed for LARMA in your first box. And then if you add your traveler's liability, that's your second box. And I have your expiring premium from the previous year for those lines of coverages, so you can see a comparison. We're up about $20,000 compared to the previous year. I have the optional coverage for the physical damage. Below that, I took out the premium that they were charging you for physical damage from LARMA, so you could get a total idea of what your total premium would be at the bottom. That's totally optional. I wanted to discuss that to discuss the next line of coverage. So we're up about $20,000. If you go to the next page, I have your workers' compensation renewal with LUBA. In the past, we've had a problem since 2020 with the estimated audits or the estimated payroll. And that's what happened with the furlough classification you got to put in there. We've also transitioned through CFOs a couple of times that we're doing the audits. Last year, we got Luba to come out and do a physical audit. We had a person here instead of mailing it in, and that made the world of difference. So you can see in 2024, I have your expiring premium in the middle of the page and versus your renewal premium this year. The very far right corner, I have your payroll variance. They have it down to an estimated value of $47,000 in payroll variance. That's just estimated. We're not going to pinpoint dollar for dollar payroll. The year before, the variance was almost $1 million in payroll. So we got them back on track with that physical audit. And at the bottom of the page, bottom right, I have it where you had an audit return premium. They returned $43,000 in payroll after we got it all corrected. So with your LARMA renewal up 20% and this down significantly, you're actually coming out ahead than you were last year, when all things considered.
That's good.
I know I just threw a lot at you, but any questions so far? All right. The only thing you need to vote tonight is to we have the resolution we need to do for Dr. Joseph to sign the uninsured motorist form. But if we want to maintain the physical damage the physical damage coverage with LARMA for that $5,800 premium, for that $400,000 aggregate, or if we want to switch to Houston Specialty for that standalone policy for physical damage, but that's the one that's got the increased premium and increased deductibles, I think we're okay with maintaining where we are for this year. And if we buy more buses down the road, unless LARMA expands our aggregate over time next year. So when they have these quarterly meetings and the school boards are represented, I'm pushing every school district we insure to say we need more physical damage coverage. It's hard to get because of reinsurance, but if they could give us $500,000 or even a $600,000 limit, that would keep your costs down a lot. And so that's something for their consideration. But for right now, since we're not buying any new buses or plan on buying any new buses, this is my recommendation to remain with LARMA as is and then renew the LUBA workers' compensation as is.
Okay. Sorry.
And just want to make a note, getting ahead with the workman's compensation, the return on the salary that we receive, that will help out with the 15% increase that we're seeing with our other insurances. So kind of almost like a wash.
Okay, so you need a motion to maintain the current policy.
Correct.
Any other questions, or do we want to make a motion? Any questions?
I so move.
Okay, we got a motion by Ms. Cheney to maintain current coverage. Second. Okay, second by Ms. Porter. No other questions, we'll take a vote.
Ms. Virginia Bell?
Yes.
Ms. Jenny Chinese?
Yes.
Ms. Rosina Ford?
Yes.
3-0-1.
Okay, item 4,
Thank you.
thank you. Receive and consider for approval update to salary schedule to include differentiated compensation stipends.
Yes. Members, if you remember last year, the legislature or the State Department issued differentiated compensation allocations to all school systems. And the purpose of the allocation was to assist school systems and schools with unique market needs in the recruitment and retention of teachers. And so we have the funds available, and the State Department is requiring us to include differentiated compensation language in the salary schedule. So if you look in the packet that you have, the salary schedule, look on page 11, you'll see that language is now included in the salary schedule. I also provided you with information about how much our teachers would receive this year. That is in the second packet that I provided for you. If you look on the last page, it gives you the list of all of the employees who are eligible to receive the funds. And they're based on 4 categories. First is economically disadvantaged, critical shortage, leaders, and highly effective, people who were rated highly effective. Last year, we received an allocation of 4,000, I'm sorry, last year we received an allocation of $35,271. So everyone received the $320 across the board. However, this year it has been reduced by $10,704. The total allocation was $24,567. So we were able to give all employees under the economically disadvantaged column, $265, and then $100 for everyone who falls under the critical shortage. So I'm asking that you all approve the revised salary schedule that will include the language for differentiated compensation, and then also the amounts that we will provide for all of the employees who are eligible to receive the compensation.
Any questions on the differentiated compensation stipends? That's the amount in gray, right? That's the amount.
Yeah, the first column is economically disadvantaged. You say it's 265. So this is an
So that was the,
economically
so
disadvantaged
that was the
district. Yeah.
district, so they got the economically
Yes.
disadvantaged.
Yes.
Okay,
That amount also includes the benefits that are associated with the
with that
with the
particular,
stipend.
okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Any other questions? Not, we'll take a vote. Motion, I'm sorry, I need a motion, please.
That's a move.
Motion by Ms. Cheney,
Second.
second by Ms. Porter. No other questions, we'll take a vote, Ms. Mears?
Ms. Virginia Bell,
Yes?
Ms. Linda Cheney,
Yes.
Ms. Lovina Porter,
Yes.
3-0, motion carries. Resolution board to vote.
Okay, we've added an item 5 to the policy, to Budget and Finance Committee. And item 5 is to approve a stipend for July 29th for professional development to be derived from the ESSA funds.
Yes. So I want to apologize to Ms. Clark up front because this is a conversation that we should have had. However, because we just received notification today, we needed to add it to the agenda for this evening. And that is providing a stipend for our teachers who attended the professional learning program on Monday, July 29th. So we'll be able to provide them with a stipend. We need to have it approved by the board because the funds that will be used to pay the stipend will come from ESSER funds. And it is required by the State Department that the boards approve any stipends that come out of the ESSER funds. So I'm asking that you all approve for us to provide the stipend for the one-day professional development that occurred on Monday, July 29th of this year.
How many employees?
What's the total? It's all of them, right? Do you have a total number?
It's about 46.
I don't know.
Was it for the teachers?
It's $35 an hour for 6.5 hours.
Okay.
Yes. That's the basic standard stipend that we provide teachers.
And we still have enough in ESSA to pay?
Yes, we are depleting, we've depleted all of our ESSER
I'm
funds.
surprised we got enough in ESSA to pay that.
Yes, ma'am, we did.
That's a move.
Okay, we got a motion by Ms. Cheney,
Second.
second by Ms. Porter. Any other questions? If not, we'll take a vote, Ms. Muse?
Ms. Virginia Bell,
Yes?
Ms. Linda Cheney,
Yes.
Ms. Lovina Porter,
Yes.
3-0, motion carries. Resolution board to vote.
Okay, thank you. That concludes the Budget and Finance Committee. Ms. Cheney, he's not here. I want somebody to do his.
Policy committee will come to order. Roll call.
Mr. Alvin Schreiber,
Absent.
Ms. George Porter,
Present.
Mr. George Hughes,
Present.
Dr. Kelly Joseph.
Here.
And I will assume the role of chair. First item, receive and consider for approval revised policies for inclusion in St. Helena Parish School Board Policy Manual, ABCD.
You printed down.
Okay. ABCD qualification for school board members, BC, school board members, continue education, BCBB, notification of school board members, GBA, employment contracts and compensation, GBRIB, sick leave, GBRIBB, sick leave bank, JGC, student health service, JGCB, immunization, JGCD, administration of medication, JGCFA, behavior health services for students.
So these are all policies through the legislative update. This is series part 3. There are a lot of policies that came out of the last legislative session. So unless any board member or committee member has a question about any of the policies, I'm asking that you approve them collectively.
Motion by Ms. Joyce Porter, second by Mr. Hughes. Any questions? No questions? Vote.
Mr. Cheney.
Yes.
Ms. Joyce Porter.
Yes.
Mr. George Hughes.
Yes.
3-0, motion carried, referring to the full board.
That concludes the policy committee. Moving right along. Mr. McPherson.
Let's bow our heads. Most gracious and Heavenly Father, we thank you for life. We're thankful for the opportunities to make a difference in our community. Even right now, we ask that you bless this meeting. We ask that your governing angels make every idea and every initiative that you've ordained for this district to succeed impossible. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The meeting room will come to order. We're now holding a meeting of the St. Helena Parish School Board. Roll call.
Ms. Joyce Porter.
Present.
Ms. Lolita Porter. Ms. Linda Cheney.
Present.
Mr. George Hughes.
Present.
Ms. Virginia Bell.
Present.
Mr. Alton Travis.
Absent. Item B, approve minutes and agenda. We're gonna do August the 8th, 2024 committee meeting and August the 8th, 2024 regular board meeting. Can I get a motion to approve those collectively? Motion by Ms. Joyce Porter,
Second.
second by Ms. Lolita Porter. Any questions? No question. It's passed by general consent. Item 3, approve current agenda with an addendum. Can we get a motion to add that item?
Motion that we approve the current agenda and also add to executive section, item 2, to discuss protocol for lockdowns.
Can I get a
Second.
second to that motion? Motion by Ms. Bell, second by Ms. Lolita Porter, to add that protocol for lockdown in executive session. Any questions? No questions? Vote to approve the amendment.
The roll call?
Ms. Virginia Bell.
Yes.
Ms. Joyce Porter.
Yes.
Ms. Lolita Porter.
Yes.
Ms. Linda Cheney.
Yes.
Mr. George Hughes.
Yes.
Mr. Alton Travis.
Absent. All right, item 3 now, approve the current agenda with the addendum. Can I get a motion? Motion by Ms. Joyce Porter, second by Mr. George Hughes. Any questions? No question. She passed by general consent. Item C, new business. Received 2022-2023 audit report. Larry Jones, Bruno, and Terrell.
Mr. Jones will be providing his report via Zoom. Mr. Jones?
Yes.
You're up.
Cultural Arts Director Charles Castillo. Hello?
Yes, sir. You can begin your report.
Okay. So yes, in Shaman High School. In true Wayne Warner fashion, they asked me not to make. Okay, so in front of you, I think Ashley provided you the audit report, which is the audit of the financial statements. This is about 83 pages. You have the single audit report, and you have two agreed upon procedures. One is the statewide agreed upon procedures, and the other one is the BESI agreed upon procedures. We'll start with the audit report of the financial statements. And if you go to page.
Excuse me, we don't have them yet. We don't have them yet.
Following the table of contents, in paragraph 2, that's the opinion paragraph. And what that paragraph is stating is that the financial statements are presented fairly in all material respects as of June 30th, 2023. Once again, we have audited the financial statements as of June 30th, 2023. The next page I want to just briefly discuss is on page 5. You have management discussion and analysis. This is a narrative overview and analysis of the financial statements. We have on page 11, well, we have condensed financial statements here. And once again, the discussion is an overview. On page 11 through 13, we have the government-wide financial statements. These are the financial statements that include non-current assets and liabilities. For instance, your capital assets are shown here. Your infrastructure, your equipment, things like that are depreciated. You also are showing your non-current liabilities, your pension liabilities, your other retirement benefit liabilities, and your notes, your debt. So on page 11, let's go to page 11. This is the statement of net position, assets, liabilities, and net position. Assets minus liabilities equal net position, or it's your equity. Here, your net position, your equity, you had a minus or a deficit of 2.3 million. And basically, this deficit is caused by booking the pension liability, which the pension liability is almost 13 million. You also had your post-retirement benefits, which was 6 million. So that really contributed to showing this deficit. On page 12, we have the statement of activities. These are your revenues, expenses. And on page 12, we have a combination of expenses and revenue. We have expenses, and then we have program revenue, which are your grants. On the next page, on page 13, the presentation is your general revenues. Your ad valorem taxes, your sales taxes, and your minimum foundation
funding. That totals 16 million. So subtracting revenue, expenses from the revenue, you have the changes in that position. On page 13, which is $67,000. That added to the deficit from the previous year, as restated, was 2.4. Your net position at year end, June 30th, 2023, is $2.3 million of a deficit. On page 14 begins your fund statements. These, the fund statements is what you use to budget your revenues and expenses. Fund statements do not include long-term or non-current assets and liabilities. So your fixed assets, your pension liabilities and things like that are not included in the fund statements. It's just your current assets and liabilities. So we have here on page 14, it's the balance sheet, and we have three major funds: General Fund, Title I, and Achieve. And you have all of your other non-major funds, in which in the back of the report, we show the details of all of those non-major funds. So your fund balance in total for your governmental funds is 11.6 million. That's in the total column, all the way to the end, described as total fund balance, $11.6 million. On page 16, we have the revenue and expenses being presented in the government fund financial statements. Once again, you have columns for your major programs: General Fund, Title I, Achieve. And you have in total $19.5 million of revenue. The largest portion is your MFP funding and your federal funding, and your expenses as a total $12.2 million. I can't read. 12. That minus the revenue of 19 million, you had excess revenue over expenditures of 1.3 million. When you consider the transfers in and out, you have a net change in fund balance of 1.2 million. Add that to your fund balance in the previous year, as of July 1, 2002, the fund balance at June 30th, 2023 is 11.6 million. On page 19 through 55 are your notes to the financial statements. Just about all of these notes are consistent with last year. The largest and most comprehensive note is the note dealing with pension liability. We also have your notes on your current debt. Let me just flip to that page so you can review it quickly. The notes on the pension note is so much. So on page 52, you have your long-term obligations, which include your compensated absences, your general obligation bonds, tax-exempt bonds, sales tax bonds, and your net post-retirement benefit obligation. Once again, the total balance of your debt at June 30th, 2023 was $30,500,000. On page 56 is the required supplemental information, which includes your budget comparison, your general fund, your Title I, and your Achieve Now funds. And then we have the required pension and post-retirement benefit notes. I'd like to bring to your attention, because later on I will discuss the findings that we have. One of the findings deals with your general fund budget, the budgeted revenues. The actual revenues were less than budget by more than 5%. And any amounts less than a budget of over or equal to or more than 5% is a violation of the budget control laws. So here, if you look at your variance for revenue, that was a negative 1.3. And then the actual budget, the final budget was let me start again. The final budget in total for revenue was 11.1. The actual revenue was 9.7, leaving you a negative variance of 1.3. That 1.3 equals more than 5%. The actual variance is 12% as a negative variance. So you're over the 5%, and therefore you have a finding that we reported later on in the report. So on page 58 is the Title I. We did not have a finding there, or neither did we have a finding on Achieve. Budget of 59. On page 67 begins the detailed asset, liability, revenue, and expenses of your non-major funds. These are your special revenue funds. If you look on page 67, they kind of summarize the details of the different funds. You have your special revenue funds, aside from Title I and Achieve. You have your debt service funds, and you have your capital project funds. And these are the same columns used for revenue and expenses. But the total of these summarized financial statements are shown within the basic financial statements. And finally, we have two supplementary information reports that are required by the state, and that's dealing with, on page 82 and 83, the agency head benefits and compensation, as well as on page 83, schedule of compensation paid to board members. Once again, I don't think I mentioned that the opinion was classified as an unmodified opinion. So that's the very best opinion you can receive. And once again, it's saying that your financial statements were presented fairly in all material respects. The next report I want to go over in some detail is a single audit report, which is called Federal Grants Financial and Compliance Audit, together with Independent Auditors Report. And this is for the year ended June 30th, 2023. We had two reports in here on page, if you look at the table of content, two reports: Internal Auditors Report on Compliance and Internal Control, that's on page 1, and then Internal Independent Auditors Report based on the single audit requirements, or what is called the Uniform Guidance. That's on page 4. So we had those two reports, and based on the work we've done, we had two findings on each one of the reports that are shown in detail on page 11. It begins on page 11. So we had the number one finding, which is 2023-01, and this is financial closeout and reporting process, and a submission to legislative auditor. So the financial statements, the condition we have here is that the closeout was not timely completed. It's obviously the financial statements were not completed timely, and thus untimely submitted to legislative auditor. There is a cause involved here, and that pretty much dealt with the retirement of the business manager and trying to just setting everything, and closing the books is not an easy task. And when someone is unfamiliar or it hasn't been there for a long time, then the task becomes difficult. So we did have a finding here on the lateness of having the final financial statements ready for audit, as well as the lateness of the submission to the legislative auditor. In this report, I believe I did include St. Helena's corrective action. So at the completion of the findings discussion, you will see that corrective action is included, and that was prepared by management. Number two finding on page 13 deals with the budget amendment. We pretty much went over that. General fund, the revenue, the actual amount was less than the budget by 12%. The threshold for not having a finding, it has to be less than 5%. It's a negative number. So here we had a negative number of 12%. Therefore, it was considered a violation or non-compliance with state law. On page 14 is the third finding, 2023-003, and this is a single audit submission. So single audit, we had a single audit that was performed. Single audit deals with auditing your federal funds, and there's a clearinghouse requirement that this single audit report goes to the federal clearinghouse. It has to be submitted within 30 days of the end of the audit, or 90 days after the year end. So this was somewhat late, so that was the finding dealing with the submission of the single audit report to the clearinghouse. And the last finding deals with Davis-Bacon Act. And what that criteria is when you have construction over, I believe, $2,000, renovation, improvements, anything like that. First condition is that there needs to be in the contract of the subcontractor and the contractor, the prime contractor, that the laborers or the mechanics on particular contracts need to be paid prevailing wage. So here we had the prime contractor didn't have that language in the contract. So that was the first, if you will, finding A of this finding. And two, we had looked at one contract. It was a $6 million contract for the Early Learning Center. And the contract began, and the work began in May of 23, and it had costs in May of 23 and June of 23 that dealt with the use of laborers or mechanics. So the requirement was for the contractor to provide payroll records showing that prevailing wages were paid. And that reporting from the contractor of any subcontractor working for him, but in this case it was subcontractors that did the work. We did not have any documentation to show that the contractor provided those payrolls to St. Helena. And what St. Helena needs to do, once they receive the payrolls, they need to provide that to the state, because that's the requirement under the Davis-Bacon Act. So there was non-compliance because those two things did not happen. The language in the contract was not there, and the weekly payrolls, there was no documentation of any laborers or mechanics being paid the prevailing wage. Now, it wasn't that much because it was the start of the contract, which was in May and June of 23. So there was, I want to say, just maybe under $70,000 of demolition costs. So, but even that, you would think that the laborers provided that services to demolish certain, whatever needed to be demolished. So that's the 4 findings. Once again, included in the back of this packet, you do have St. Helena's corrective action plan. It's in detail, it's written real well, I think, and it covers controls that will be taking place and the deadlines to complete the corrective action. So I think it's well written. And the last 2 reports are, once again, we had agreed upon procedures, statewide, which the state requires these procedures to be performed each and every year. And I would say that for the statewide agreed upon procedures, we did not have any exceptions to report. So that was a very good report you had. And the same thing for the BESI. And this includes the performance measures that have been performed by the auditors as long as I can remember. And once again, there was no differences on the requirements that were included as procedures here. And well, this report, the BESI report, as well as the statewide. So that's a brief presentation. Once again, you had unmodified opinion. That was very good. No findings on your agreed upon procedures. And I think that the findings and the superintendent can discuss in further details their corrective action. But I believe that the actions that were provided are doable and should be achieved. That's pretty much it. Anyone have any questions?
There are no questions, Mr. Jones. Thank you so very much for presenting the audit report. We know that it has been very challenging to get this report out, and with all of the different challenges we've had in our finance department with the high turnover of our CFO position. Just happy that we are finally able to get to the point where we presented the report to the board. So moving forward, we do have, Ms. Castle, who has been in the position now for several months and is doing a really good job at cleaning up all of the issues and the things that she's discovered in that department, and we're working toward getting us back to high levels of operation, moving forward. So this
Yes,
is where we are.
thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Jones.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.
Item D, superintendent's report. Do we got that? Can I get a motion to receive the 2022-2023 audit report? Motion from Ms. Joyce Porter. Second by Mr. George Hughes. Any questions? No questions? Pass for general consent. Item D, superintendent's report.
Good evening, board members. Good evening, community. I just have a couple of announcements I'd like to make. The first is the Early Learning Center. We have an update. We have Mr. Gallman. Would you please come up and give the board an update on our Early Learning Center? We have received a substantial completion letter from the contractors for the work done. And so also just want to share that of our ribbon cutting ceremony. I think I stated it before. It will be scheduled for Tuesday, October 29th. So more details will be provided at a later date. Mr. Gallman.
Yes,
Who's the
contractor's name? The main contractor.
Reed.
Jay Reed.
Yeah, and we basically, as of last week, we was presented the keys. Finally, that goes hand in hand with the substantial completion. And we finally, on just Monday past, got the final walkthrough report. So we had some issues that we have been going back and forward. Was our issue, their issue? Well, without that report, we just didn't do anything because we just waited to see what was their responsibility, what was ours. So having said that, we have the building where we begin to wax. We are beginning to get everything cleaned up as they've been presented to us. We have a goal of next week having our cafeteria and everything out of there and having it cleaned and ready to go. We have some improvements that Ms. Womack was able to get that's going to cause a little adjustment with our electricity and then getting it up to par. In connection with the ESSA fund ending, we got some obligations out there to that Dr. Joseph was looking at to change one of the air conditioning packs. That once we trying to fire everything back up, that one of the packs is giving us a little issue, and was before, but they're kind of dated. But there's two of them. One was placed prior to the other one, and the oldest one, hopefully, if there is any money, we can replace it rather than repair. But both proposals are out there. Whatever money we would do, if money just say fix it, we're gonna fix it. If money says we can change it out, we're gonna change it out. But having said that, internet's been restored on the campus. Today was the first day we got our cameras are communicating, so we can see what's going on around the campus. If you guys hadn't been out there, the gating is up, where now the school is going to be just closed off. The street is still going to be there, accessible by the public, but you can't go in. You can't go in the breezeway anymore. You can't go in the ag building anymore without going through a gate. So it's going to be well secured from the public. So other than that, like I said, we're cleaning and we're trying to get in the building. Hopefully, in the next 2 weeks, we have it cleaned and presented, and we're set for late October. So we're hoping by the 15th of October we have it where we want it. But we are still waiting on them to do their final punch list. They presented it on Monday. Short. I was on campus today. There was several contractors. The cooling people was there. The electrician was there, And once again, and we had Howard there with our cameras. So we're getting there, but they're not quite finished. I'm ready for them to go. I think they're ready to be gone, but we want to wait until they're finished and then we do our little closeout. And we're still in debate, Dr. Joseph, as to who's going to fix that where those roof ends. So that's the debate. And hope we close that piece out. But that's the only
Canopies?
the canopy. Have they agreed that they're going to do the canopy? Or that's still a question because I did not see it addressed in that report that came out Monday. Had a chance to read it and digest it. Didn't have anything in it. There is a cost proposal in what they said was omitted.
Yeah.
The outside classroom canopy. So that has been cleared up that they're not responsible for it. If we want to go forward with it, there's a cost proposal to put that piece up.
Yeah, I've spoken to them about that, but I want to go back for my clarity about the canopies. Are you talking about
The way
section
they end
in front of
the
cafeteria or?
in front of the cafeteria,
Yeah.
in the breezeway. That's still the way they end, old, new.
Yeah.
We're going to have to make some adjustment, but looks like it's going to be on us.
Oh, it absolutely is on us because remember those funds were used, because of COVID. So everything that was done at the school is COVID related, and that part was not. That's why nothing was done with the cafeteria because there was nothing, in the cafeteria that was COVID related. That included the canopy in front of the cafeteria building. But there is an outdoor area, to help with, providing more space for kids that's connected to the cafeteria. But the canopy itself and, the work inside the cafeteria is not COVID related.
But we were able to capture, and as the contractor leaves, they leave ends and stuff, material overage, and I had asked the contractor for one piece to fix something that was going on with our canopy at the high school, and he told me, "Hey man, we finished. Take all of that." I very quickly put it in the shop, so whoever we get to do the work, we're going to have some of that material already, maybe enough to really address those down parts, and then to trim the old existing part out, which is only right in front of the cafeteria.
Yes.
We got enough trimming out, and then we have to pay for paint. So was able to capture enough for that transition to have it look with the same material, but then on the part that we're left with, it's going to be painted and trimmed, and there's enough ends left that we captured that's going to be able to trim that out. So I think we're going to save a lot of money having that material. But we're close, and we're going to be ready to go by the time the ribbon cut. Any more questions? I think it's beautiful.
So do I.
There will be some additional expenses that we will have to discuss later on in the gym, because as you know, you all approved for us to do the major upgrade in the gym. But now it needs a new scoreboard, it needs new basketball rims, and also a new sound system. And then when we have all of that in place, then we'll have two regulation size basketball courts.
And the two
Regulation.
Yes,
well,
ma'am.
no, I will change that to verbiage. Louisiana High School Association certified floor.
Yes.
In other words, the floor that we proposed before, you can't pay up on it because it's not the surface that you need. But the upgrade that y'all agreed to do is beautiful and it's in place.
Yes. Any questions about the Early Learning Center? All right, moving on, I wanted to share with you our MFP, our Minimum Foundation Program count update. So based on information from the Louisiana Department of Education, our MFP count has decreased from 984 learners in 2023 to 963 learners this 2024 fiscal year. This reduction translates to an estimated loss of over $163,000 in funding. Our truancy officer is actively working to locate the 21 kids to determine if they are enrolled in other school districts or are no longer attending our school district. We are closely monitoring our general fund budget due to this reduction and will keep the board informed if a reduction in force becomes necessary. So I just want to put you all on notice about that. We will have a football game this Friday against a meet. So we're asking that you come out and support our Hawks football team. And we'll have Mr. Davis to come up and talk to you about the player shout out.
Good morning or good evening, afternoon, evening, yeah. Long day, I've been up. So we've been in contract with the school district for a long time, and one of the things that I always wanted to do was get these kids involved in the productions that we do here with the broadcast. Not only just because it's fun, but because it's a good opportunity for them to get skills and they can actually work right out of high school, work for ESPN, and do some great stuff. So they run the whole production right now, what we do at the high school, so including the A-Meet game. So you all got a flyer. So I forgot their names. 4 students that we work with. We had a budget set aside to pay for 2 student interns. So we gave them each $100. And they decided they wanted to bring on 2 more students. And they took it upon themselves to say, hey, we can split the money up and we do 50-50-50. So I was like, that right there was like, okay, how can we get more? And I wanted to get them shirts. I wanted to get them, because they really want to do this. So I was like, all right, well, we have a skill set. We have a class. My brother, Justin, right there in that picture, he runs the digital media department. So I said, okay, let's do a way where they used to have these booklets where you can purchase a page and say, hey, shout out. Well, we don't have that anymore in this 21st century. So I say, let's do a digital version of that where you can shout out a player. Or now we're going to open up to band members, cheerleaders, anybody, because for a lot of kids, this is it for them. You know, the reality is the high percentage of them probably won't go to the next level. So these memories is all they have. I have so many players that come up to me from other schools from years ago and say, hey, I still go back and watch the game. I was like, wow. So it means a lot to them. So to have this, to have a parent, you know, people care about the kids, and just do a shout out where we put it on the screen. It could be a video, picture, something written, and we'll do a voiceover, and then we'll play it during the game. You pay $8, and all that money goes back to these kids. And there's another slide. This is stuff that they do. This is like an intro promo we did. I think it's some play.
This Friday night, Hawks will be going against Kentwood Kangaroo right here at the nest.
Get this 50-yard line. He's going back to the other side. Out runs another guy, and he's going to take it into the end zone as he runs it down to the 5, 10, 5, and touchdown.
Sure to be another great I-55 Showdown Classic. Join us for the game. Go Hawks. Have a wonderful day.
So we get them to do the promos, all that. We're teaching them all the basics of production. And then there's one more where we actually do on-site interviews. So we're teaching them all about that. This should be the next slide over. And that's them prepping for an interview. Justin's kind of helping Ms. Burton going through that process. And the next one is a highlight of all the interviews that they did throughout the broadcast.
Hi, my name is Shamaya Burt, and we're in Greensboro, Louisiana at St. Helena College Career Academy. Today we'll be going against Kentwood Kangaroos. I'm here with head football coach Chris Gordon. How are you doing today, Coach?
I'm great, Shamaya. How you doing?
I'm doing good as well. Last week you called the game from upstairs. Do you plan to do the same today?
I'm gonna be on the sideline tonight. You know, I got a little lonely upstairs, so I'm gonna be out with everybody else.
There's gonna be a big crowd tonight. How do you think your team will respond?
I mean, this is what you do it for. You know, you start working back in the spring. You know, for nights like this, summer workouts. You know, when we free. You know, a lot of these people are related. You know, Kentwood is right down the street. You know, it's for bragging rights for a whole year. You know, so people gonna show up, want to play sound football. You know, and hopefully when the game is over with, you know, we can have bragging rights.
Okay.
You know, we call the play. If it's not executed, it's a bad play, right? So you just want to make sure we can execute. If we execute, we'll be fine.
All right. Thank you for your time. You have a nice day.
Thank you, Ms. Bush.
Kickoff is in 20 minutes. Back to you guys. I'm here with Jarvis Brister, number 3. Jarvis, how do you feel about making the first touchdown on a punt and return?
I feel like it helped us really a lot to boost the energy for the team.
What do you think you all need to do to stay ahead and winning?
Just keep standing together, keep fighting, keep standing head up.
Thank you. Halftime.
Okay, and the last one is just the post-game interview. So you can pause that one. So yeah, we're teaching them that, and I think you can play stop there. It's just post-game. So at the end, we put their name in the credits, and we do all that stuff. But my whole goal is for them to be. Right now, I'm trying to build up their confidence. Get them and slowly bring them into the stuff because it can get stressful. There's a lot more to it, and eventually I'm gonna get them to that level. But I want them to see that they can do it. That you can be right here from Greensburg and you can do stuff like this, and then from there they can go and work for ESPN literally out of high school. But teaching them the skills, and so they get to have this playing around here. So we're just asking everyone if you can share that. We're going to keep doing this for all games. This is the first time we're doing it, so we're testing it out. We have a few people that did it so far. I try to make it simple. There's a QR code there. It takes you to a payment link and then an upload link after you pay. So use the same email so I know that you paid and all that. And so shout out to player, cheerleader, anybody. And again, all that money is going back to these kids so we can get them all involved and can hire more, get them some clothes. Because again, it's about pride, confidence. Once they get that, they can learn the skills and then go out into the world and be like, I can do this now. And they can say, I learned it here. Mm-hmm. They don't have to go to Walker High. They don't have to go to, Live Oak anyway. They can do it right here in St. Helena. And once they start building that pride and then other students see it, they're going to want to be involved. So this is the first time we're doing it, and I'm excited. So y'all can just spread the word. That's it. All right. Thank you.
We're very excited about that program. And also I spoke to you all before about our internship program that we're really pushing toward, and happy to report. And I will give some, details at our next board meeting about the number of our learners who are now interns and working in different locations around the parish. And so we really want to recognize all of the entities that, got on board with us, understood, like they said, understood the assignment, understood that our kids really needed to get into these positions, and they're really stepping up to the plate. So we will have a detailed report for you all next month about our internship program. So thank you, Mr. Davis, for that, our alumni. Last, and certainly not least, we'd like to send condolences to the Burton family. We ask that you keep the family of our 2024 graduate Donovan Burton in your thoughts and prayers. Donovan tragically passed away in a car accident earlier this week. So please let's do a moment of silence in memory of Donovan. Thank you. And that concludes my report.
That was his sister on the
Video. Item E, approved committee report from September the 26th, 2024. Motion by Ms. Joyce Porter. Second by Mr. George Hughes. Any questions? No questions shall pass by general consent. Item F, executive session to discuss 2 points of business. Running Gordon versus St. Helena Parish Schools and lockdown protocol. Can I get a motion? Motion by Ms. Joyce Porter, second by Mr. George Hughes. Any questions? No questions. Passed by general consent. All right, peeps. The meeting is back in session. We have a motion to return from executive session from Ms. Porter, second by Mr. Hughes. Nope. This meeting is back in session. We had two items that we discussed. No immediate action taken on those two items. Announcement of the next meeting date is October the 10th, 2024. Closing comment, board members.
On October 19th, we're having a fall business fair at the center. We're having companies from all over the parish come and set up tables and give out information. We have Southeast, we have USDA coming, the housing, Chodas coming, Cavalier United Way, Aetna. Someone to talk about secession. So October 19th, put that on your calendar, but I'll be emailing you flyers. So just I want you to know about that. I wanted the school to come, but I don't believe Miss Miranda is going to be here to have a table. But do you have anybody else that could do a table? Yes, maybe get somebody to man a table. We'll add the school to that. October 19th.
Any other comment, board members? Hawks versus Amy Warriors tomorrow night. I'm definitely looking for a win tomorrow night against Diamond Warrior. Please put that on camera. I want to win. Linda Cheney said that. Thank you. That last motion. This meeting is adjourned. Homecoming is October the 11th. I'm sorry, October the 11th. Homecoming. Go out and support the Hawks for homecoming festivities. That last motion. This meeting is adjourned.